everyone, my name is Molly Green and I've been volunteering with the Basset Hound Rescue of Southern California, which I'll just refer to as BHRSC from here on out, ever since we adopted our first rescue dog about 12 years ago. So I'm here today to propose some changes to our adoption procedures that will actually help get our hounds out of boarding faster and give our volunteers a little bit of a break, which I know I would sure appreciate. So we all remember when our organization was basically just rocked to its core back in 2012, when Buddy, a hound that we rescued and placed into a forever home through adoption, was lit on fire and ultimately killed by a member of his household and his family. It was just absolutely awful, and the tragedy was broadcast across local TV news stations, which brought a lot of media attention to our rescue. Now, that prompted a very thorough review of the situation on our side, but it also made it clear that there was just no way we could have foreseen such a horrible thing happening. It was just so beyond the scope of our knowledge at the time. But it still made us question pretty much every aspect of our adoption process. So the board met, and ultimately the board determined that more stringent adoption procedures would be implemented, including enhancing some of our home visit inspection requirements. And honestly, I think it was as much about helping the organization find a way to honor Buddy as it was about the actual safety of our hounds. So while those changes were well-intentioned, they've proven to be problematic at times as they place more of a burden on volunteers who are already overwhelmed. And we're all volunteers. Everyone in this organization knows what it feels like to be overwhelmed. The Southern California region we serve covers over 56,000 square miles, and the driving distances involved make it even harder for our volunteers to make time for these home visits. So today, I'm going to show you how it's not only possible to do virtual home visits, it's actually a much more efficient use of our time and our resources. The safety of our hounds will still be absolutely our #1 priority in these virtual visits, and we can screen our applicants just as carefully as we ever have. A virtual process will help us save time and money while still protecting both our animals and our organization. So let's take a minute to look at BHRSC's mission and our current procedures. So BHRSC rescued its first dog from the Long Beach City Animal Shelter way back in 1997. And then by 1998, the rescue had filed all the paperwork and was legitimately recognized as a 501(c)(3) nonprofit. The mission that was established for our group called for offering sanctuary, healing, and forever families to distressed, abandoned, injured, or homeless Basset Hounds. And since that time, we have rescued and placed over 2,000 dogs into their forever homes. Currently, hounds waiting to be adopted are either housed in a private boarding facility in Orange County, or they're placed into foster homes with volunteers. We're responsible for all of those animals' costs as long as they remain in our care. So that includes the daily boarding costs, feeding, medical, all of that. So how does a hound actually get adopted? At the present, our adoption procedures include first, a formal application submitted online by whoever the interested family is, and then the application is reviewed by one or more of our adoption coordinators. From there, we conduct a home visit. That's where a volunteer meets with potential adopters inside their home to ensure that the property is safe and secure, as well as to interview the family and kind of get a feel for the family dynamics and what kind of a hound would really be best suited for the home, you know, depending upon the age of children and all that sort of thing, activity levels, It really just helps us get a better feel for it when we get to really meet with people. So then once the applicants successfully clear those hurdles, they're invited to meet with either an available hound, or if there are multiple available hounds that meet their wants and needs, or if we don't have any hounds, then they can join a waiting list. So meeting those hounds actually involves another element of coordinating with volunteers who are already spread throughout Southern California. So that's more driving for our volunteers. Now, my family has a pretty substantial history with BHRSC. Over the last 12 years, we have adopted 2 dogs, Rolo and Snickers, and we've worked, both of us have worked as home visit coordinators, and we've fostered about a half a dozen dogs. Now, despite that history and our familiarity with the organization, the process of adopting our most recent dog, Snickers, last summer still took over a month. If we were to eliminate the actual home visit and replace it with a virtual home visit, we'd be able to shorten that timeline by at least a week, maybe more, you never know. So let's look at what a virtual home visit would involve. First, our home visit coordinator will contact the family and give them a short list of requirements that we'll need from them in order to proceed. They'll need to be able to demonstrate via photo or video that the home is safe for one of our hounds. And that means they'll need to show us whether there are stairs, and if so, how they plan for the hound to be able to avoid those stairs. Because as we all know, these short-legged little dogs don't particularly handle stairs very well. They'll also need to show us that the property is fenced and secure, and that includes if they have a swimming pool, showing us that the swimming pool is also fenced, because not only are hounds not very good swimmers, they are also incredibly clumsy, and I know that mine have been known to fall into the swimming pool on occasion. So overall, they just need to demonstrate that their home is safe for a dog and that it's sanitary and that they're ready to welcome one of our dogs into their home. This can all be achieved very easily with the use of a smartphone or a tablet or any device that has recording capability, which practically everyone either has at this point or they have access to it via a friend or a family member, something like that, who can help them out. Then once the required visuals are received, a home visit coordinator will use some technology, and they're going to cross-reference the visuals from the home that the family provides us with digital imagery like satellite image, Google Street View images, just to make sure that people aren't fabricating the house, that, you know, that they're not using their neighbor's house when really their house isn't fenced, that sort of thing. From there, our home visit coordinator is going to conduct either a phone interview or a video interview with the family to discuss what they've seen and to run through the standard questions that we would normally ask during a home visit. So obviously, there's going to be the occasional family who can't meet the technological requirements. They're just overwhelmed by it, or maybe they're older and they just don't understand. And in those cases, we'll absolutely make an exception and go ahead and conduct a traditional home interview. But this is going to cut down the number of those just dramatically. So let's examine what this change means for the big picture of our organization. Now, across our organization, we spend an average of $2,800 per adopted hound. That includes all special medical treatment, vaccinations, spay-neuter, boarding, nutrition, etc. Now, we only recover 9% of our total operating expenditure via our adoption fees, which is kind of surprising. Boarding is particularly expensive, and anything we can do to move hounds out of boarding faster is going to save money and free up resources, and that allows us to rescue more dogs. We also have to consider that we have this amazing community of volunteers who are so ready and willing to step up and help, but we ask a lot of them. And, burnout is still just a huge, huge problem in the animal rescue world. We still have an average of 3 to 5 open volunteer positions at any given time, and that's just the bare minimum. So now if we were to eliminate the physical home visits and replace them with virtual home visits, we're going to save time and energy, and then maybe our volunteers will be able to step up into these roles that we're having trouble filling. The information we gather from our home visits is absolutely invaluable to the stability of our organization and to the safety of our dogs. They've just become really, really impractical given the wide area we serve, those 56,000 miles. It's just insane. It's too much for us to handle. Moving away from physical home visits and replacing them with virtual visits will cost us absolutely nothing to implement, and it's going to save us money. And most importantly, the change would help us further our mission, which is in the best interest of every hound who comes our way in the future. Thank you.